Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad you're here today, and if you're new, welcome. We are so happy you found us. Today we are doing something kind of different, super fun. I've gone down the TikTok hole a few times, and this is a DIY I found on TikTok for making your own chalk paint and painting glass vases or plastic. So I thought we would try this out and see how it looks. Yes, I know this is milk glass and it's very old, but honestly I have a ton of these and I don't really put them out. So we're going to do, this is our glass we're going to paint with our chalk paint we're going to make, and then this plastic, and we're going to make another little vase. Thought I would do this one terracotta colored, and I'm going to do this one a pretty turquoise blue. Now all you use for this is baking powder, the kind you make cookies with, and acrylic paint. So I thought first, since it's first for glass, we would start with the glass, and I'm going to use turquoise acrylic paint. So let's get started with this. So I'm going to put in a teaspoon of the baking powder, and then I'm going to mix in probably, I don't know, I'll figure it out and let you know how much paint, because I don't need as much as they say, and I like to I want it to have kind of be different all the way. So I'm going to put a teaspoon of baking powder, and then I'm just going to squeeze in a whole bunch of this acrylic paint. Okay, that's probably about half of the little container, and then I'm going to get a brush, but I'm going to stir it with one of my paint stirrers I have. And I'm just going to mix it up. And I do know everybody that I've watched do this says it starts to dry really fast, I guess because of the baking powder. So we're going to see how this looks. And it's supposed to be like a chalk paint kind of deal. Let me get a thing to set the palette knife on. Might add just a little bit. Looks like I need to add just a little bit more. So I'm going to do another half a teaspoon, okay, of baking powder. So it's a teaspoon and a half of baking powder and about half of one of those little containers of acrylic paint. Okay, now I think it's good to mix. So we're going to paint this as fast as we can. Okay, and we're just going to start painting it. And like I said, we kind of need to move fast on this because everything I have read, it does kind of dry quickly. It does have kind of a different texture to it, not like regular acrylic paint. I think what I'm going to do is kind of dry it real quick and then put on a second coat. Okay, so we've got this one all done. I don't know if you can see, but it looks very chalk, very matted. So I'm going to push this over to the side, and we're going to make up some terracotta for our plastic little container. So come right back for that. Okay guys, now we're back to do the little plastic container. Same process, only a lot less paint. I'm going to use like half a teaspoon of baking powder. Okay, and then I'm going to use burnt Sierra and crimson to try to get close to the color of terracotta. I'm not a paint mix all it. Oh, you know what? It's hard. I hate that. Do you ever buy these tubes of paint and they just get hard? That one's hard. Okay, well, let's see. Let's do a copper color and see how that comes out. Maybe I'll mix a little red in and see if it looks... We'll mix a little red in and see what it looks like. Okay. Now, as we're waiting for that one to dry, I thought we'd do it on a piece of paper too and just kind of compare plastic, glass, and paper. That way, if you wanted to use it in a journal and you didn't have chalk paint, I don't know, for whatever reason, or you wanted to use something different in a journal besides acrylic watercolors, this might be a fun option for a different type of texture. Again, it's kind of all about textures this week with me for some reason. Okay, so we'll check back in just a little bit after each one has a chance to dry and see what they look like and see how our experiment with acrylic paint and baking powder worked from TikTok. I'll see you in a minute. Guys, okay, so we're back after all of it dried, and on our paper, it's kind of cool looking. I only did one coat, so you can still kind of see, but if you look at the texture, it's different than acrylic paint. It's a thicker look on there, and it's definitely, it would be something to try. I kind of like, and it feels, you can hear it, so it has a grit to it. So I think it would be worth using a little bit. Okay, our plastic vase needs way more coats, which I think anytime we use plastic, paint on plastic, it needs more coats. But as you can see, it almost looks like terracotta, like stone. It's really cool. So I'm kind of happy with the way it turned out. See that side? It does look like stone. It doesn't look like plastic anymore. So on plastic it worked pretty good, except it needs way more coats. That's 2 coats, and I could still probably do 3 or 4. Now the glass, I think this one actually turned out the prettiest. It definitely has a matte texture. It definitely kind of looks like a stone, like a blue stone instead of glass. So I think the turquoise came out the prettiest, and I will definitely use this in my living space. So I'm happy, and let them dry just a tad longer. But it definitely had a texture to it. So again, what we used was baking powder and acrylic paints, different acrylic paints. The one that looks kind of like terracotta, but a little shinier, I used a shiny copper paint. If you probably used a matte paint, it might look more like terracotta, but I didn't have the right color, so I just kind of improvised. I used copper and a little red, and then of course the baking powder in with it. On the blue one, I just used a regular acrylic turquoise paint and mixed it with the baking powder as well. It's a really cool texture. It does look like chalk paint. It can get a little thick, and it dries really fast. So you'll need to make sure that when you're ready to do this, you do it, and you do it all at one time. Because if you stop and have to do something, it's going to dry on you. Now, the TikTok version didn't have paper, but again, I just wanted to try it because I'm always looking for new textures to add to ephemera, journals, mixed media, art journals, whatever. And this is a nice texture. Like I said, it almost looks like a paper, like a wallpaper or something. So anyway, I hope you liked this video. If you did, be sure and give it a thumbs up. Be sure and hit that subscribe button and the little bell so you'll know next time a video posts. I'm so glad you were here with me today. Thank you, and I will see you tomorrow.